As Donald Trump threatens to bring what his administration has ordered done in Washington, D.C. to other cities in our country, officials everywhere are wondering, are we next? Here is what Philadelphia District Attorney Larry Krasner had to say about that and the possibility of federal overreach coming to his city.
We have another very important tool, and I want the public to hear this, and I want them to understand that you are not alone. And that important tool is called state prosecution. The President of the United States has zero ability to pardon someone who is convicted in state court. If you have people coming in, military, ICE, whoever it is, acting beyond their legal authority, they can be prosecuted, assuming they commit crimes, in state court. And they cannot be pardoned by the president, which means they get to tell a Philadelphia jury exactly why it is that they thought they could invade this city, and they get to bear the consequences, whether they are handcuffs, a jury trial, or a jail sentence. That's what they get to bear. I ain't backing down.
Joining us now is District Attorney for Philadelphia, Larry Krasner. Thank you so much for being here.
Of course, I'm delighted to be here, Nicole.
Now, you are speaking the only language that over the last 9 years, and maybe before, Donald Trump seems to respond to, and that is strength. And I wonder if it's intentional. I mean, if you're intending to scare him away from messing with your city and your state.
Well, you know, one thing I know for sure is that crooks don't like honest prosecutors. That's kind of how it's always been. We're talking about a guy who has 34 felony convictions, who's tried to overthrow the government with an insurrection previously, who keeps making noises about doing it again. He is a wannabe dictator, and there is a lot of research that indicates that the way you defeat dictators is you show that you're not afraid, you talk tough, and you ridicule them. I mean, the fact is he is ridiculous in many different ways. You know, I really want to applaud those blue state governors who are out there being loud and proud. I'm in a red state, okay? I'm in a blue city. What I need as a Democrat is more of my Democratic electeds, and most importantly, more Democratic voters in all states to come out and be very plain and very direct. We are not going to have anybody, no matter how wealthy or how powerful, come into Philadelphia, come into other American cities and commit crimes. If they do that, they need to have a consequence.
I mean, I think you just so profound what you just said. I mean, you're in a blue city in a red state. I think you could say that about a lot of other political dynamics. But say a little bit more about how the facts and the strength actually speak well beyond the borders of your blue city. Everybody hears strength, and most people respond to it.
Well, you know, if you think about it, Donald Trump became president completely unqualified, never having been elected to anything, okay? What he enjoyed was kind of an outsider status, and he enjoyed it partly because Americans don't really trust elected politicians. They do not feel that government has worked for them. He, of course, is a grifter, and he's basically been selling a bill of goods to people who, sadly, at least some of them, went for it. But there is power in being in a somewhat outsider position, even if you're a recent elected. There is power in going to a town hall and speaking up. You know, the Democratic Party can be seen as a bunch of elected officials and political operatives, or it can be seen as all Democratic voters, and most importantly, all potential Democratic voters. Everyone listening to this show, every single one, never having entered politics or run for anything, has the ability to either go to a town hall or demand a town hall, demand it of a Democrat, demand it of a Republican. Get them out there, make them do something. We should not be looking at a scenario where so many elected Democrats who are in red states are afraid to speak up, where so many ambitious careerist politicians are afraid to speak up. I mean, let's get real. We have been through this before. The Civil War, the Red Scare, World War II. We have been through this before. We are up against basically the equivalent of our historic enemies. I could get into the details, but you know them. And we simply have to be willing to fight and realize that there is a war over democracy happening right now. And if we dig in and we are proud and unafraid of the consequences, we will show our power. And that goofball will crumble.
Why do you think it's so difficult for rank and file Democrats to speak this. I mean, and I want to point out and applaud the outliers, and that's why we keep covering them. Gavin Newsom of California, J.B. Pritzker of Illinois, Wes Moore of Maryland. But what is it in sort of the DNA of a Democrat that can have, you know, the public is overwhelmingly unhappy and unsatisfied with Donald Trump's presidency 7 months in. He's got about a 37% approval rating. He's underwater on issues like immigration and the economy, down in the low 30s on two issues that were once his political strengths. What are the sort of constitutional, and I don't mean that the document, but what is it in the DNA of a Democrat that makes it difficult to fight a street fight politically?
Well, I don't think it is difficult for Democratic voters. I don't think it is difficult for people who have come to politics not as their primary career, but I think there are a lot of careerist politicians who a long time ago tilted towards Republican light. They tilted towards being corporate Democrats who were basically chasing the money because, you know, increasingly politics has been about money, didn't understand that you can actually win with the power of your message rather than the power of your wallet. And so, unfortunately, for way too long, the Democratic Party has not said obvious things. Let me just give you one, okay? It is a fact for the last 25 years, Republican states have been far more dangerous in terms of homicide than Democratic states. It's actually 133% more dangerous. The homicide rate in Republican states is 133% of what it is in Democratic states, which means Republicans are awful at public safety. And yet, Democrats have never said that. Never said it. I mean, honestly, why am I the one saying it? Shouldn't we have been saying this 25 years ago? So they have let Republicans falsely steal the mantle of being for public safety and capable at it when they're terrible at it. There are so many examples of things that are simply true that Democrats could say that would have power, but unfortunately, I don't know, somewhere in political operativeville, this got lost.
Well, I mean, the other example is the economy. I mean, the economy, now we have enough data. The economy does better when there's a Democrat in the White House. I mean, what I think is interesting as an ex-Republican is that Republicans have none of the facts, but all of the political persuasion. The Democrats have all the facts plus public opinion, and they seem to struggle with the fight. How would you advise them to, again, go out and bridge that gap?
Well, you know, part of it is to empower the voters. It's one thing that Trump did very effectively is he brought out a whole lot of people who had white hoods in their closet or, frankly, serious mental illness, who believed that the country was run by reptiles and that there was, you know, all kinds of madness going on in a pizza parlor in Washington, D.C. He found them. The Democrats, meanwhile, and this is my party, but the centrist Democrats spend their time saying AOC is bad. AOC is not bad. And the 9 million people who follow her on social media are not bad. Their votes are necessary. And if those votes were actually enlisted, embraced, if the tent grew, if the Democratic Party could embrace its future, there would be massive turnout of young voters, black voters, brown voters, broke voters who right now don't really know what to do, some of whom are gravitating towards Trump because they're not hearing from the Democratic Party what they should have heard a long time ago, which is that we are not a corporate party. We are not the party of Wall Street. We are a party for working families. That's where we always should have been, and that's where we need to be. So, I mean, honestly, a very basic part of it is Democrats. If your Democratic elected official doesn't know how to speak up loudly, proudly, and without fear, then we need a different Democrat in that position. That's really where it is. And if you are a voter of whatever party and you have a Republican elected who will not give you a town hall, then raise hell, because that is what we need.